my pride and joy.
That's what's up. Okay, I'm gonna do my little intro real quick. Um,
Okay.
well, like I mean, this is like independent freedom podcast, and we just talk about like entrepreneurship, like finance, different cool stuff. But like I like to see and expose people to like different cool opportunities that you don't traditionally see often. And
Okay.
that's one of the reasons why I looked at you and I was like, "Oh, what you're doing is kind of dope." Especially with you just starting off with it. And um, yeah, Isaac, just introduce your company and your little startup.
Okay. So my name is Isaac Henkel. I'm originally from Farmington Hills, Michigan. Um, hail from Michigan. I started my company is Zeeks barbecue sauce. Um, I started out of my kitchen. Started October 2019. Um, I was working for, well, I'll get into that later, but yeah, no. So I started my company October 19th, and I'm here now, what, 8, 9 months later, and it's thriving to my best abilities right now.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. So, what made you start it though?
Okay, so in October of 2019, I was a head chef for a daycare that my son went to. And then eventually we had a tasting for the parents. So every couple months, the parents come in and they try whatever we had on the menu that stood out that month, and which was barbecue sauce and Alfredo sauce. So I picked two sauces out of the menu, and I went with my own sauces instead of the company sauces. And so I put the two sauces out at the end of the day. The parents arrived around 5 o'clock. And the next morning I came in, the director came in and she started talking to me. And she was like, "Do you know the two sauces that you put out were a hit?" And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And so she broke it down. She was like, "Well, the barbecue sauce alone, the parents were taking it home in plastic cups." And right there, I was surprised, and I was like, "You serious?" And she said, "Yeah." Like she was serious about it, and from right there, it was like I kind of was like, "Oh, I think I have something. I don't know." And then eventually, 2 weeks later, parents started coming in and actually asking where they can get the sauce from. And from that day, it was like a light went off in my head, and I remember making like 6 batches, and I handed out 270 mason jars to everybody I knew.
That's pretty dope. So it looks like that light was like, yo, you saw dollar bills.
It wasn't even dollar bills. It was the more the fact that I knew I had something, and it was natural,
Oh, that's
and
dope.
it was something because I've been a head chef for 13 years, so it was something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to own my own product because I've
Hmm.
always did stuff for other companies, for other companies, and then I had no, sorry, my son.
Oh,
And
that's
then
all
I
right.
had
That's all right. Family business. Family business. It's cool.
one second. What do you want? What do you want? Okay. Okay. One second. When Daddy gets done. Sorry. I always knew I wanted a product of my own, and eventually it just got to a point where it was like, all right, I really wanted. I was always creating items for other restaurants, and then ended up either quitting or resigning or going somewhere else to a new position, and coming back 6 months later, and that item that I created is on their menu, and
Oh
I'm
wow.
seeing nothing for it. And obviously I can't because it's not trademarked. It's not my personal idea. I didn't patent it or anything. So, and I've seen it plenty of times, and it just came to a point where I was like, all right, I knew I had something when I did it. So the first thing I did, I patented the name and I patented the logo, and then I just went from there, and it's been on ever since.
So like yeah, elaborate. Tell us more about like the process of like patenting the logo and everything?
The logo basically, obviously, I'm not a logo designer, so I had to reach out to a few different logo designers, and surprisingly, I have a lot of friends that are that are business savvy, that are in business, and I have one friend. He owns his own restaurant, Beerhead Eatery in Novi, and I was a head chef there, and I'm a close friends with the owner, and he basically was like, "Here, this is my logo designer. I'm gonna get you with her," and she basically got me a logo, and everything that I seen about my bottle and my brand and my logo, she made it come true. And it was like when it got on the bottle, it was like it was I envisioned it before it even got on the bottle. And then so basically it took me I didn't have any help. Like I haven't really had help doing this. Like everything is through me, like everything is from the ground up. I started just Googling. I used to stay up until 7 in the morning, like seven and like from waking up at 8 in the morning, not going to sleep till 8 in the morning. If it had to do with putting out orders or just being on Google and looking for how to patent a logo, how to patent a slogan, just a brand period. And it took me a long time, but Google's wonders. Google will tell you what does water taste like. Like it will tell you things. So yeah, and it basically it helped me a lot. Like it led me the direction where I needed to be. Every single time I came into a conflict, I always resorted back to Google, and it helped me, and that's how I patented it. Just went through the process. It was about $200 and something for the patent for the logo, the
Okay.
brand. It's good for about a, it's hold on, it's good for about a year. So, or I'm sorry, it's good about 6 years. Um, but it's like every yearly they renew. There's a fee, yearly renewal fee. So, other than that, yeah, it's been a process since then.
So how much is that fee? Just curious.
It was around 260. So I'm sorry, the initial price was $267. I think the fee is like $69 yearly.
Oh, okay. All right, that's
Yeah.
cool. So like with packaging, was it hard to deal with the packaging, the process?
Um, no, and like I said, it feel, and I always tell people this, like some people think I'm weird, some people think I'm not, but it feels like I've been guided. I'm not a huge spiritual person, but I feel like I'm guided by something else. Like something else has put me on this path to where when I think something's not happening, it's gonna happen. Like I didn't know how to go about finding my bottle. I didn't know how to go about finding the shrink wraps on the top. Um, go about making my labels for my bottle. I didn't know about anything bottling it. So it was literally every single thing that I needed to know. I just researched it and researched it and came back and did it. And then I was like, no, I don't like this. And so I just kept going. And um, eventually it came out exactly how I wanted to, like exactly how I envisioned that the process. So yeah, just the process with just the bottle alone was probably the hardest part.
Okay, that's what's up. The bottle alone was just so like what would you say is like one of the toughest obstacles that you had to endure when getting it started?
The toughest obstacle I had to endure by getting it started was probably the marketing. Marketing is one of the worst things, or and I'm sorry, not the worst things, one of the challenging things because, and it's really just starting up the company because you don't know, if, especially if you're not business savvy like that, you don't know what step to take next. So you're just going on a limb and saying, okay, do I do this next? And sometimes, and a lot of times you're going to mess up. I think, yeah, the hardest part was in the beginning, just not knowing. And good thing I'm thankful that I had a business savvy friends on my side that I can go to and say, all right, where I would have meetings with them, and they would tell me, well, this is what you need to do. And when I tell you, like I took a notebook of notes, like before I even did anything. Like I have a green binder that has notes galore, probably 30 something pages of just random things that I've heard that I need to do. And then eventually I put everything that I've learned and everything that was in my notes, I just I put it to work.
That's pretty awesome. Um, so how did you determine like the pricing for your product?
That was a lot of researching. So the product alone, the sauce, like I said, I've been a head chef my whole life. Um, I know the cost. I know cost, and lost wages. So I know cost. Cost is not bad. Um, I think I just and this, I think goes along with just knowing um, business people. Like if you when you I think it's that much easier. Not saying it was easy, but that much easier when you have a business person in your corner. Um, because for the longest I was getting um, just stomped when it came to cost. When it came to a price of my bottle and what I was selling it for, I was not. One second. I was not making a profit off of it, and I didn't know because um, I was not into business. So eventually, I got into business, and just through my friends, and I just went from there. And they taught me everything. They taught me the cost on everything, and so it just um, yeah. I think the whole cost thing, it was a challenge. It was a huge challenge because I didn't know what I was doing. Like
Okay.
it's still a challenge. I think it's still a challenge to this day because of I'm not business savvy. So I'm not a huge business person. Like I was a chef. I knew how to make the product. I knew I could bottle it, but the whole cost thing was I didn't know. All right, well, you got to have this margin at this point. You got to try to your margin has to be at 400% just to make a decent amount, just to pay yourself in any aspect, or you're just going to be living, or the company's basically be living and just going payment by payment. Like you're selling stuff and it's just lucrative and it's just going back into it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely the cost is still it's not the big issue as it was then as it is now, but it's still there. It's still like I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm trying to get costs lower. I try to just go with the lowest cost um, products that I can find, but like I said, it varies because there's so many companies out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So many, and me personally, I don't want to go through China. I don't want to go through the foreign countries. Um, I all my product is from America, um, and that's just how I want it to be. And I know there's certain companies where I can get a cheaper bottle, cheaper label, but at this point, I think I'm at a good margin point, good pricing point right now, so I'm making a good profit. But like I said, it's just there's a whole process to it, and I've only been in this for 9 to 10 months, so I'm new to it. But I came a long way, and I've did all the numbers that I've been doing. So yeah, but yeah, that's what it is about the cost. And it's just a process.
No, that definitely makes sense. But I think one thing that you said that really stuck out, like you said, you had friends who had an expertise in an area that you lacked. So like was it hard to go up to them and like like how does all these meetings start happening?
So just like everyone that's buying my product can see the passion that I have for it, can see me up at 4 or 5, 6 a.m. in the morning doing orders. Um, I'm always talking about it. This is like a second child to me. So basically, my first business person that's with me is my best friend Derek. We've been best friends since fifth grade. Um, he owned a company in Las Vegas. He sold it for 4.6 million, and he's always been in my corner.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always, when I told him about the idea, he was all for it. He wasn't going to tell me exactly how to do it. Um, but he was always like, he could see the passion for it. And he was always like, well, you got to do this next, or do this next, or do this next. So he started seeing it. And I think he waited until I got really into the motion of,
Mm.
all right, he's serious about it. Like, no one's going to put their foot in if you're not serious about something.
He kind of like
Um,
Yoda'd you. He Yoda'd you.
yes, exactly. And that's what my business, and that's what the business person that I know that is from, that owns Beerhead Eatery in Novi, his name's Yusuf, the owner. He was the same way. But he was really like, I gave him a jar of it that when I first started, and he was like, "Man, this is amazing. I want to invest in it." Like he wanted to invest his time, money, and everything in it, and it just got to the point where he was like, "All right." He knows business aspects, and Derek knows business aspects. They both can come with different business savvy points of views, and it just get to a point. It got to a point where it was like, all right, let's sit down at this time, this day, and we've been on 6 meetings already, and
Okay.
it's only been 8 or 9 to 10 months. So,
That's dope.
it's, yeah, it's definitely been encouraging to have people that are already successful in the business world
Mm-hmm.
to see what I have and to believe in it. So that's been a huge deal for me to have those people in my corner.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Derek for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's what's up. I think that's cool. I think one thing that really I'm kind of curious. 'Cause I know you like you were a college athlete and everything.
Yep,
You feel like
yep.
that competitiveness like is like what helps drive you.
Um, yes, I think I've always, from my background, just life period, I've always had a fire in me. Whatever I do, I'm unfortunate. Like I said, college sports didn't work out, but I've always had that. I don't know. Not to sound cocky or arrogant or anything, but I've always had that it. That it has always been in me, but I didn't know what it was supposed to be. Like I thought it was supposed to be sports. I thought it was supposed to be football. I thought basketball, but that's not what the higher up had planned for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, no, I've always had that drive. Honestly, my son, my daughter, I have a daughter in Germany. They're really drive behind it because I want to leave something behind for them.
A legacy.
Yeah, legacy. I want to have my legacy. And honestly, my last name, my family, my last name has never really owned or had anything to where I can stand proud on.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I stand proud on this a lot. And to be honest, man, like when I was a huge, and I tell a lot of people this, but I was a huge Nipsey Hussle fan, a huge Nipsey Hussle fan.
Okay.
Like before he passed away, like from 2008, 2009, like when I lived in California, I was a huge fan. I always followed him, his drive, his passion. Um, and when we passed away, rest in peace to him. But when he passed away on my 30th birthday, and that really put fire underneath me. It really pushed me. It really because I knew what he stood for, and I knew exactly like how he was in the business savvy. And I was like, man, like I would aspire to be that business person that he was, and that really is what pushed me like to the max. Like, and every day, whenever if I'm down, anything's wrong, or if I'm just working, I have a lot of orders. Um, I play his music. It's an inspiration. I mean, that's just not me for a lot of people. But yeah, that's where my motivation comes from.
No, that's dope. That's definitely dope. So like I think I'm just curious in the this 10 months like span of like evolving into what you're evolving to. What do you think are some critical things that you have learned?
Um, stay stay firm to who you are. Don't let no one deter you from what you're trying to do, because a lot of people will tell you you can't do this, or you should get a regular job, or I've heard it all. If even from closest people to me, Um, I think you should just, if you believe in something that you know is pure and you're pure to your heart, I think you should stick to it, because a lot of people will want to do something, but they don't have those people in their corner telling them to do it. And I'm one of those. I've been on, like I said, I've been on my own since I was 17, and when you don't have someone telling you you can do it, and pushing you to those goals, it's hard to do. It's one of the hardest things in this world to do, is try to succeed. It's try to succeed in this world of hatred and want to see people fail. Um, and I've always been firm. I always stood 10 toes down, no matter what life threw me. And just you just gotta stay true to yourself. Like, if you believe in something, then go full force. I've always I think I've always believed in, like, you can't do something half-assed. Can't
Mm-hmm.
do something half-assed, because when you do something when you do something half-assed, you're not just selling yourself short. You're selling your dream short. You're selling the people that possibly believe in you short, and that's when you fail. Um, and I think I haven't, not to say I haven't failed yet, but I'm on this positive path because I stay pure. I stay positive to myself of who I am. I think I'll never change for anyone. Um, I've never burned, and that's one thing I always try to tell people too. Um, I've never burned bridges with
Mm.
people, because you never know one day when you're going to have to recross that bridge and reconnect with someone.
That's heavy. That's heavy right there. Like,
Yeah,
because you never know where someone's gonna be, where you're gonna meet
you never
them.
know.
Never
Yep,
underestimate anybody. Value everybody.
exactly,
That's dope.
exactly.
That's heavy. That's super heavy for real. So, like, what are a couple of goals that you have in regards to like scaling up?
So next goals are, I I want to get into, um obviously I want to get into retail stores.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge goal. I want to open up my own wing shop. Um, I have an idea for my sauces, my two sauces that I have, to open up a wing shop in college towns. Um, I want to do it in college towns. I want to start off in Michigan, college towns, and then start from there and make it 24 hours, Wednesday through Sunday, um, and just build from there. Like, I have huge ideas. I have more than just wings or my barbecue sauce. I have plenty of products that I want to bring to the forefront, because I know that I've made certain things in restaurants that, if I had my own place and my own hole in the wall, that I know that it's gonna be like nothing that people don't have it. It's not out here yet. That's the whole thing. Like, I have there's different ideas that I have. I definitely want to get my brand and I want to get my sauce into stores in different states, because every state doesn't have a Meyer, every state doesn't have a Walmart, every state doesn't have a Kroger, or the small stores that we have here in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and that's what I want to do. I have idea for to get in stores, have my own restaurant, my own little hole in the wall, not nothing big, um, and just branch off of that. I would like to have a food truck maybe, and just travel the country and just get my brand out there.
That's pretty awesome. That's definitely awesome for real. Like, one thing I'm curious about, like, did you start with the e-commerce or did you start before the e-commerce?
So, selling wise,
Yeah, selling wise.
once I passed out my mason jars, I had to find out because when I started with mason jars with a rope tied around the neck of the mason jar with a tag that says Zeeks barbecue sauce that I made from my phone. And I hung it on the jar and I was handing them out. And then I came back and I was like, all right, what do I got to do next? So I found a sticker company and I made little stickers to stick it on the mason jars. And um, I started, and then I was like, all right, well, how can I sell these to make them official? So I started just Googling, and then I was like, all right, well, they need a seal wrap on.
Mm-hmm.
So I found seal wraps that fit mason jars, and I started seal wrapping them by hand with a heat gun, and just basically sold the mason jars like that, and then eventually um, it went from just selling that way. Come on, sit right here. Sorry. It went from just selling that way, and then it basically I was selling not a lot, but I was selling enough to get my brand out there before my e-commerce. But that was just here and there. It wasn't like I was getting 60, 70, 80 orders in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and May 4th of 2020 was my first day of online sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
May 4th. So when you before we go to the part where the May 4th of 2020, like you said, you started handing them out. Like, were you like, was it like, were you handing them out free as samples, or were you charging?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
In mason jars, I was handing them out. Um, I was handing them out in mason jars at just people's houses, free, just giving them to people, just to get my brand out there.
That makes
Uh,
sense.
I which I was definitely I was exerting myself. I was wasting. I was not wasting. I was putting energy into it, sweat equity. But the whole thing was to get my brand out there, and eventually I did that, and that was probably the best thing I did during this whole tenure to me having my brand.
That's dope, man. That's awesome though, because like a lot of people are always thinking about the money first, and it didn't seem like you were thinking
Yes,
about the money. You were thinking, you were more forward thinking, like, okay, let me just get it out there. Let me people see my gift, and then the money will
yes,
come.
and that's exactly what it was. It was more that I knew I had something. I knew that I've always been good at it. And I just wanted to get my product out there because I knew my product stood up with or even better than the products that are on the shelf right now. And
That's fire.
yeah, and I knew money would come. Um, and like I said, I had belief in myself, and I think that projected onto other people that didn't even know me.
That makes sense. And then you will start getting feedback too, though. Did you get like a lot
Yes,
of good feedback and some negative feedback? How'd you handle negative
Hon-
feedback?
honestly, um, I have not received negative feedback.
I'm not surprised because I tried it. It's good.
Like, and it's not even. Drink water. Don't drink water. You have to. You ate too much sugar here. Sorry, and um, no, and honestly, not even the blow. Just because it's my company, I did not receive any bad feedback. I mean, other than people doubting what I could do, what my product was, where it stood against other barbecue sauces. Um, I really believed in it, um, and I didn't care about money. Like that was the last thing I cared about.
That's deep though, because it's like you're not think. It's not like you're like it's money is nice, but that's not what you're essentially. You're thinking like, yo, I have this. I figured something out, and I just need to see it manifest.
Yes, and I think that's exactly what it did. From passing out all those bottles and people saying that it was amazing, and having people that I haven't talked to since ninth grade, and I'm 31 now, to reach out to me and to say like, man, this is amazing. Like whatever you have, whatever you're doing, keep it up. And it was just reassuring every single time I heard that from somebody random that I knew I was on the right path, and I knew the fortunes and money would come. Um, I've never been worried about money because in life I've been the brokest of broke, and I've seen money of money. So that was not the case at all. I've been happy without money. I've been happy with money. So it was me just putting my product out there and letting people see what I can do and let people see the product that I had.
That makes sense. So it was like you said when you officially launched on e-commerce was May 4th, right? 2020.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So like how long did it take to you start seeing getting like hits like sales and stuff?
So May 4th at 8 p.m. May 4th, 2020, I sold X amount of jars. I did 600 and some dollars in sales.
That's not bad though.
And at that time, I was selling my barbecue sauce for $6. So yeah, I was selling for $6, and I did like $647 with sales, and it that was my first, and that was my first time. And I think right then and there when I did it, that was just reassuring that I knew that this is what I was supposed to be doing.
Mm, okay.
So within 3 hours,
Within okay.
within the 3 hours, May 4th, 2020, um, I had $600 worth of sales.
That's pretty nice. So I'm curious. Oh wow. So you had like over 100 sales though, pretty much. So
Hold on, sorry, say that over again.
you had close to 100 sales.
Yes,
Yeah, you had close
yes.
to 100 sales, or actually a little over 100 sales. That's pretty good.
Yep, I think I had like 112, I believe.
Yeah, launching out. That's pretty impressive. So like did it grow? Like how did it like did you see more of it like more sales coming? Like what happened?
So yeah, my first day I sold, and it really never died down. I stayed my foot on the gas pedal. I stayed my foot on the gas pedal, and I made sure, um, even if I got one sale, it was a progression. I was progressing.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't get 80 something sales in one day, I never got down.
Yeah.
Never got down. I made sure I always had one sale
Yep.
a day. And eventually it got to where I started going live on Facebook or Instagram about my barbecue sauce. And I started picking up sales, and I started doing Google ads and Instagram ads and Snapchat ads. And eventually I was getting between 50 and 80 orders a day.
Whew.
Where when I speak about me being up until 7 a.m., being up 16 hours and only sleeping basically for 6 hours and in a day, sometimes 4 hours in a day, and just getting back up. And my body was automatically getting back up because the first thing I was thinking about was my business. And it was more important than anything else other than my son. Um, and I just looked up, and I was just getting sales after sales after sales after sales. And then I started getting wholesale orders. And I started getting wholesale emails from big companies that I've never even heard of.
That's dope, man. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like your confidence in yourself rubbed off on other people, but it wasn't like a fake
Yeah.
confidence. It was like, yo, you like my product is good.
Yes.
Try it.
I've, I've always been that person to where I was always when it comes to me being confident in my brand and in my product, it was just like it was a natural. It was a natural thing. It was just me being me. That's all that was. It was just me being me. And I think when people seen that, they knew already. And that's like I go back and I speak about not burning bridges because you're gonna have to cross those bridges one day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's been so many people that even in high school that I didn't talk to that were like, man, this is amazing. Whatever you're doing is amazing. We tried it. We had it at someone else's house, and it was amazing. And then I started getting sales like crazy, and it was just, at first I couldn't fathom it, and there was times where I was down, and then all of a sudden I would get 175 bottle order from
Whew,
a company.
that's huge.
Yeah, and I've had 7 wholesale orders. My biggest order was 230 bottles.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. It's like you just
Yes.
people don't realize that little thing that they make can actually be like monetized, or it can actually like go to another level. You just but people never tap into it, and you seize the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'm just type. Things take time. Things do not happen overnight. Even though it's been 8 months and I've had the little success that I've had, I know I'm gonna run into trial and error, trial and tribulations through this whole thing, whatever I'm doing. But I'm always gonna stick with it. I could be going through the worst of worst, um, and I'll always be intertuned to my business and what it stands for and what I'm doing, because at the end of the day, it's what I have. I have my son and I have myself, and I have my business. So
No, that that
I think I'm building more. It's more than just myself. It's more than I'm building for someone else.
that's real. But like I think the thing though that like I think people might overlook is like it wasn't just 8 months. It was years. Like you've been
Yeah,
doing it
it
for a
was.
while. Like so this is like compound interest, of your
Yeah,
talent. It's like you already had it. Now you're
yeah,
organizing everything so and sharing it with people.
yes. And I think that's exactly what it was, because I go back and I think, okay, 2012, I used to have college parties, and I used to have barbecues where 100 and some people would come, and I would be in the kitchen and I would make my own barbecue sauce,
Oh
and
wow.
I would toss the wings in the barbecue sauce, and everybody was like, "Man, this sauce is amazing." Not knowing that I was basically manifesting in my head at that point that 8 years later, it would come to the forefront, and I would have my own business and come out with my own barbecue sauce.
Yeah, that's heavy though, because it's like you never realize it, and it's just like there's a lot of people do it, like people who make cakes, people who do all those things, but they don't tap into it because they're thinking
Yeah,
little. Like you say, like go get a job. Not say that I'm not against the job, but you're tapping into something that you believe in, and that's
yes.
awesome.
And I had, so I my whole life I've always wondered, why do I know so many people? Why am I around so many people at all times? Um, and it got to this point where I was like, this is the reason why I know so many people. And I knew I was always supposed to do something. I knew I was always supposed to do something myself, and I could never. I guess I was always looking. I never let it come to me, and this came to me. And when it came to me, I knew that's what it was. I knew that this was it.
Mm. Okay, so like I was like curious, like like with everything that you were doing, and with all these orders coming in, like you're doing it all yourself
Yes,
now.
everything.
Now, are you trying to like when's your goal so you can have someone else do other stuff to make it easier for you to focus on
Oh
the
yeah,
things you
no,
need to
no.
focus on?
I definitely, when orders are really at the point to where I can't do a one man show, to where I can't put the labels on the bottle, I can't shrink wrap it, I can't fill the bottles. I definitely want to do I'll probably do a co-packaging company, which they do everything for you. You pay them basically a percentage of sales, and they ship everything out for you and do everything for you. So I'm definitely going to do that.
What's this called again?
Um,
A co what?
Co-packaging company,
Oh, co-packaging company.
packaging company, yes.
Okay, and how'd you
Uh,
find out about that?
I just Google
Mm,
searching,
okay.
trying to get more wise about the area of business that I'm trying to embark in, or that I am embarked in, and I'm just trying to better myself in all aspects. Business wise, really, like I said, that's my probably my weakest point. Um, but yeah, that's just how I do it. That's how I did it.
Okay. So like, is it a lot of work right now? Like doing like 200 something? 'Cause like you said, you might get 250 orders in like a day. Like, is it a lot of work doing that? Like preparing?
Okay, It is. It is. Um, so if I get 100 and something bottles, from a wholesale company, those are all going to one spot.
Okay.
So in 4 hours, I can knock out um, around 300 something bottles.
Oh, okay.
That's how efficient I've gotten at this because I've been doing it for X amount of months. And um, but yeah, no, it can it can take from 8 a.m. until 7 a.m. the next day. I've
Okay.
done that. I've done that multiple nights, multiple mornings, to where I had to do it because if I didn't, my company would get a bad look. I wouldn't get orders out. Um, I wouldn't be a man of my word. And like I said, I'm all about that. That's just something that I stand proud on. That I put the equity, sweat equity, and hours in.
So have you had any like tough delivery issues like before?
Um, no, I've pricing wise, I did when I was originally shipping with FedEx. The prices were just so high, but it got to a point to where the prices were so high. I was taking orders. I was driving 600-700 miles a day,
Oh
and I
wow.
was dropping orders off at people's doors. I have around 9 sheets that there's no skip lines with people's names, how many bottles they ordered, and what city they live in. And I was driving from city to city to city to city to city in Metro Detroit in Michigan, and just dropping them off at people's doorsteps.
Wow. Wow, that's not easy at all.
It
That
was not easy.
at all. I don't know how you did that, man. Like, dang.
It's the passion that I have for it. The passion I have for it override anything. It overrid anything that I was thinking and I was feeling. And like I said, I had certain people in my corner saying, "Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. If you got to do that, you got to do that. If you don't do it, your company's just gonna fail. If you don't have that grind, you're not going to be able to do it. Like you got to have that dog in you. You got to have that grind in order to for something to succeed.
Okay, so like, how's your right now? Is there like, have you found? Are you trying to find a balance? You know, with managing like with your family, your kids, your own personal health, and you know, and your
Um,
legacy.
yes, yeah, yeah. So I mean, I still work out 6 times a week. Um, I doesn't matter if I'm up until 3 a.m. Um, I family time. I dedicate at least 3 to 4 days for family.
Mm-hmm.
But them other 3 days, I'm in the gym and I'm working on my business. In the gym, working on my sauce. I'm always on my business those other 3 or 4 days, but I make sure my time is devoted to my son. I make sure that I'm here mentally for him, but I'm also aware of what's going on in my business. If it's not insurance wise, if it's not customers emailing me, if it's not someone that possibly ordered something or they didn't get it, which that's happened a few times um, due to FedEx, which I don't recommend them. um, but yeah, it's just I definitely it definitely was hard balancing because when I first started, I was so intertwined with this to get it off the ground
Mm-hmm.
that I knew that I was going to have to sacrifice something. So my working out got sacrificed, time with my son, and I mean that's the time, basically time with my son. This is something I couldn't get back, but in my eyes, it's I'm building this for him.
That's
I'm
facts.
building this so something that he can stand on when he gets older, something that he doesn't have to struggle the way I struggled when I was a kid.
That's facts. That's major facts. That's definitely something that like really like stuck out like what you're doing like for him and everything. So like when it comes to like with the bottling and like with the packaging, you said something like FedEx is not something you recommend.
Shipping wise.
Shipping wise. Okay.
Um, so there, I just, I don't speak down on no one's company or anything. This is my personal experience. I got charged. I was spending more than what I was making, sometimes doubling shipping what I was making.
Okay.
Um, and I just didn't know because like I said, business savvy. That's just another part of business in the company that if you don't know, you're gonna get trampled over, and which I did when I first started. And I didn't do my research on who or what that I could do that was better than FedEx. To where I was bottling everything up, boxing it up myself, taking all my orders, walking them into FedEx, and then reading off addresses for them to ship it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like when it comes to like funding and like investors, like did you like was it all like bootstrap or you did you secure some funding?
Honestly, when I first started, I used my first day of sales lucratively. So I used it. I just kept the company going. I
Kept
put whatever I
reinvesting.
made that first day, and I kept, and that's all I do. So I just recently started making profit, but before that, it was just reinvesting,
Mm,
reinvesting, reinvesting. Like I had no room to take a percentage out for myself. I had no room to do anything else. It was that money I'm making, I'm putting it back in, and I'm using it on products or my product, using it on the supplies, using it on anything I needed for my company, on insurance, on my website, on anything. And I just kept going. And I think that's how I didn't fail in the beginning is because I kept reinvesting.
mm-hmm.
And that's what so many people don't do when they make a little bit of money, they don't reinvest in it. And that's what you should do. You shouldn't have to use your own money on your company. If you're making money, you should reinvest. That's like a huge thing that, like I said, I looked up to Nipsey Hussle and his business stuff. He was always about reinvesting, reinvesting into his company, and I learned a lot of that from that. And I just always just reinvested. I didn't have an investor. Yeah, I never wanted a middleman. I don't believe in having a middleman because that means a certain percentage goes in someone else's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would rather take 100% of my profits and put them in my pocket than have someone else take a percentage out of my company or own a percentage of my company, which I never want.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that makes sense though. Like, yeah, reinvesting and man, it sounds like you really learned, like you really arrived to another level of discipline.
Yes, definitely, big time. Um, I was not disciplined when I first started. Um, I I really I really changed as a person, as a business person, just on how to move when having a company, when trying to build something, to try to build something. Come on, sit in here. Sit in. Come on. I'm to try to what? Yeah, no, but to try to build something, it really um I think I really evolved from the person I was when I first started. Definitely. I mean, I've had people tell me that. And it's just it's I think it's just assuring it's reassuring that that once again that I'm just on the right path and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Oh, for sure. And then I know like you weren't you like for the e-commerce, weren't you like the top sellers this year?
Yes. So since I started my e-commerce, um out of I want to believe it was 600,000 companies that started on May 4th of 2020, I'm top 7% in sales and returning customers that buy from my website.
Okay, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. I appreciate you coming in and like taking your time and and everything. I look forward to like seeing more that happens. If you have like an Instagram or anything you could like share or link with.
Oh yeah, yeah, yep. I have my Facebook handle is just Zeeks barbecue sauce. My Instagram is exact same thing, Zeeks barbecue sauce, Zeeks BBQ sauce. Um, I have a Twitter account, Zeeks barbecue sauce LLC. Um, and yeah, that's all my social media that I have right there. My website is www.zeeksbarbecuesauce.com, which is Zeeks BBQ sauce. And yeah, that's all my social media.
All right. Thanks for coming and taking your time. I look forward to having you again. You know.
Oh yeah, appreciate that having me and being able to showcase my brand and what I've came from and where I'm at right now. And hopefully we can have this conversation again when my company is in bigger